Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. How are you, Hannah?
I am well, and how are you?
Doing good, doing good. We are back after a couple weeks. We missed last week, but so that means we're just going to double up on the Bad Batch episodes. This week, we're going to be talking about episodes 5 and 6. 6 just dropped earlier today. So really interested in getting your take on these two episodes because I've got a lot of stuff to say about them.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. First and foremost, though, let's get into some discussions here on news and things. First up, though, of course, as always, thanks to our patrons. It is now February, so we're glad you're sticking with us so far this year. Big thanks to our master patrons, which I will like to announce now and say that the website is done, at least this stage of the website. So if you go to InsideTheForce.com, you can check out our new site. Again, it's not really flashy, and we're not gonna be there to post a bunch of news and things like that because we're not in that business. There's way more people that could do that better than us and have that information more than us. So really it's a place to find all the links that you need from us. It's a place to discover, if you haven't already, if you're new to the show, read about how we started, read about the things that we do on the podcast, read about the things that we do on YouTube, get information on the Patreon tiers if you want to support the show. A little bit more about us, Hannah, myself, kind of our favorite films, our favorite series currently, things like that. It'll constantly change, I'm sure. That's something I will update as things come out because, our lists change, right? Our lists change.
Of course.
I'm probably going to add some video explanations of things like that later on. But right now I've got just kind of, just information, just a bunch of information there. So, but our master patrons, like I said, that, one of your things is getting your names on the website. So the names are on the website now. So big thanks to our master patrons right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, it's been out there, but I haven't really had a link to it. But now the shop is on the show or on the site. Merch, yes. And that's now that the site's over, I'm going to concentrate on getting some more shirts out there. Hannah's going to help kind of design some stuff. So right now you can go on there and get yourself some Inside the Force shirts. We've got some mugs and things like that, a little bit of things like that. But we're going to kind of really grow that and expand that and add some. And definitely I want to add some, limited edition stuff. Like it's not going to just be there all the time. I want to do some stuff and make, get you excited. And because I really do want people to buy stuff on there, but then I like the idea of buying something and then not making it available. So not everybody has it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's pretty neat. So we'll get some new stuff on there, and our master patrons, you guys have a discount code that you guys could type in there and get some new stuff. So I'll make sure you guys have all that. And, I'm going to get some stuff for us so we can start wearing the stuff on the show. Exciting. So that good stuff there. Again, thanks to our patrons. Check out our website. Check out the shop. Stuff like that's going to be constantly updated. One thing, Hannah, I don't know if you knew about this, but there's a gentleman out there named Daniel, and he started a couple years ago. He started Star Wars Podcast Day. I don't know if you remember this from last year. Did you? I don't know if you got involved in this last year.
I don't think I was involved in this last year.
Yeah. So we're going to announce it on this show. Next week's show will be more about Star Wars Podcast Day. And what that is basically it's based on it's February 7th is the actual day. I think that's Tuesday next week. If I can make, I think it's Tuesday next week.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So if it's so basically during the week, the 7th and on, he basically he's gotten about 100 Star Wars podcasts to get involved and basically do a show that week, and every one of us kind of names it Star Wars Podcast Day, right? And it's really a show about, we do kind of our normal thing, but then we also just talk more about us, because the idea is getting a lot of new listeners to listen to the shows and get to know the shows, and then of course start following the ones that you're interested in and things like that. So that is going to be, we're going to talk about it right. This is us talking about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it on social, and then next week's show will be Star Wars Podcast Day, where we kind of do our normal thing, but then we'll talk about it a little bit more. But it's pretty neat. We're also going to do it over on Mandalore with me and Martin. So so it's based. It's the reason why it's February 7th. Just so you know, Hannah,
Yes.
is that February 7th is the anniversary of the very first Star Wars podcast ever produced.
Really?
Yes, and it was a group called, I think it was called Jedi News. I think it was
Ooh.
the very first podcast. So,
Oh, that's really cool.
yes, so that's the kind of the, and I want to make sure I have that right. I don't know why I can't find include. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's Jedi Talk is what it's called.
Oh, Jedi Talk.
So Jedi Talk, the very first, it's the 24th anniversary. The first episode was February 7th, 1999.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's actually a couple months before episode 1 came out.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so that was the very first podcast, Star Wars podcast ever produced. So
That's awesome.
So Daniel here just thought it'd be a good idea to get shows together. I believe he's done this is the 3rd year, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, so next week, if you're listening to us, you'll hear about it more. But a lot of shows are involved. So be looking for the hashtag SWPD 2023. Star Wars Podcast Day. So all those will be next week. So if you search those next week, you'll probably get a whole bunch of shows you can choose from and stuff like that. So
Very cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty neat. Glad to be a part of it.
Indeed.
Okay. And then I guess one quick reminder before we get into Bad Batch, Star Wars Celebration's coming. Just a couple more months. We'll say everybody should know March 1st, The Mandalorian is back. Season 3 is back. So we're 1 month away from that. And we're just over 2 months away from Star Wars Celebration in Europe. That's April 7th through the 10th. You can go to StarWarsCelebration.com and see they're starting to release all the celebrities that are going to be making their guest appearances. They've already got Ashley Eckstein is going to be there, James Arnold Taylor, D. Bradley Baker, Sam Witwer. I mean, they just announced Hayden Christensen will be there. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah, so they got a lot of big. I actually do think there's going to be a lot of big announcements that week too. I think we're going to get some movie announcements finally. I think we're going to get probably release dates for Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew this year, things like that. So I'd love to see I hope we get like a trailer for Acolyte or something like that.
Oh, that would be great.
Right. And I guess I didn't write down this news, but I just the bad news, I guess, they pushed Jedi Survivor back 6 weeks. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well.
I know.
It's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
So that means probably you're going to get a big look at that game at Celebration as well, because Celebration will now happen before the release. So I'm sure we'll get another trailer, some gameplay, stuff like that. So. So anyway, yeah, that's really all I got. There's not really a lot of news out there right now. Obviously, the Bad Batch is running. some promotional stuff and marketing stuff coming out for Mandalorian right now, which is looks just going to be like a massive season.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course in the publishing world, real quick, coming out March 7th still is Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, which is a novel that takes place between Fallen Order and Survivor. On April 4th, you got High Republic Cataclysm. You got High Republic Path of Vengeance, May 2nd. And then Inquisitor Rise of the Red Blade, July 18th. Comics for February, got a pretty good slate here. Today, February 1st, Sana Staros #1 came out.
Oh.
So I think I'm definitely gonna probably read that, do a quick review on Patreon for that. Next week, February 8th, you got Darth Vader 31, High Republic #5, and Hidden Empire #3. February 15th, Star Wars 31, Bounty Hunters 31, and then at the end of the month, Dr. Aphra 29 and Yoda #4. So those are your kind of ongoing series going on. Sana Staros, obviously a new one. But Vader, Star Wars, Bounty Hunters, Aphra, they're still kicking.
They are. They are.
Yep. Okay. Yes. Bad Batch.
Bad Batch.
So, first up, Hannah, we got to talk about last week's episode.
Yes.
Episode 5, which was called Entombed. This one, of course, featured the new character that we were introduced in the very first episode, Fee, who is very much, I don't know if you got the vibe, but she's very much a Dr. Aphra, basically.
Oh, heck yes.
Right? So she's like the archaeologist, treasure hunter, pirate, whatever. Let's just get right into it. Just overall, what do you think about this episode?
Ugh.
I wanted your reaction first.
Ugh. That's right. Like, I think it's the first Bad Batch episode that I wasn't fully engaged. It was very, for me, it was very predictable. It was boring. And like in the middle, I started asking the question, what's the point of this season? Like, what is really the point of this season? Like, nothing, it doesn't feel connected. It feels more like an anthology of different shorts than it does an actual season.
Interesting.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I feel like we all kind of expected it to be a continuation of a story instead of an anthology. Because that's what it feels like right now. And that was my first that was my reaction, was just ugh. Like, it's not like I didn't like it. It's just it wasn't, I don't know, it felt like too mainstream.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your reaction? What sound did you make?
I would go, but to be honest, I will say though that up until they extract the heart of the mountain, like when they find it and they take it, up until that point, to be honest, I was really into it.
Really?
Yes, I like treasure hunting shows. Like I love National Treasure. I love those movies. I love Indiana Jones, obviously, looking for artifacts, old artifacts. And I love they were teasing me the right way when they were saying this is like thousands and thousands of years old, before the Jedi. You're talking about a time we've never heard about in Star Wars. Never.
Right.
Never even hinted at. So I'm like, wow, okay, so something's going to happen. Like this is we're going somewhere with this. Well, then it didn't go anywhere. And I was deflated. Like, I went from here to here in a matter of minutes. And I was like, and the biggest thing about it, because again, up until that point, I was so interested, not necessarily interested, because I agree with you. I wasn't interested because this was a great, great episode to further our characters. I just thought it was a great adventure, like part, and I thought I had this vision and thought that whatever they were going to find was going to be significant to their story going forward. That's what I was most excited for. Like, what are they going to find? Are they going to find something valuable or something that's unique to them that they can take to, go on? But then this machine comes out of the ground and starts destroying the planet. And I'm just like, it seems like they mixed another episode and like cut it the wrong way. Like, it went from one thing to the other, and it was like, what?
See,
and then the heart of the mountain, that's this valuable thing, apparently, is the one thing that destroys this thing. And I'm like, and then the worst part is that they don't even explain ever what that thing was. Well, I was just really lost. I was, and to me as a audience member, usually you feel what the characters are feeling, right? If you're really into it, like if they're scared, you're scared. If they're happy, you're happy. Well, I'm confused, but they weren't confused. I felt like, right? So there was a little disconnect for me at the end there, and I'm not sure, like you, I don't think this episode fits really into anything, but I thought it really had potential, and it just really let me flat at the end. So
yeah, they had a beautiful setup, but for me, what happened is when that robotic thing came alive, I was like, whoa. Whoa!
See, we were totally opposites on that.
This is so cool. I all of a sudden was like, okay, now we're getting interest. And then it was like, okay, well, you're not going to discover what that thing is. We're not going to know what that thing is. Well, what's that thing? Like, it was just such a letdown.
Yes. Yeah. Like, for me, I'm like, my mind went straight to War of the Worlds. Like, it looked like War of the Worlds.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, look like this. Like, is there a little green man that's piloting this thing? Or I don't know.
It's so true.
And it just started willingly just destroying everything. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck is going on?
I was like, oh man, what did the Jedi fight? This is so cool. Talk about raising the stakes. And then crickets.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And you would think that last scene when they were walking to their ship finally, that, Fee at least would be like, yeah, I've heard those things. They were supposed to do this or there something, but there was nothing.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, look, I mean, again, the first half of it or the 3/4 of it, I really liked where they were going with it. I liked, I liked them working together, solving the puzzles. Omega, feeling her excitement because she's young and she's never done this before, and it's like I really did enjoy that. I really did. But man, when you don't explain anything, it's like, how do you appreciate what they went through? Or I don't know. That was just baffling to me.
I just felt like I missed something. I'm like,
yeah, totally.
Well, because they didn't really explain what it was. So I'm like, okay, so clearly we've seen something like this or read about something like this before. Clearly. And so I was trying to research it. I couldn't find anything.
No.
So it's like, so part of me thinks, well, maybe this is why the Bad Batch season 2 is so disconnected at times, is that it's not only telling the story, like continuing the story of the Bad Batch, but I wonder if those episodes that don't fit are meant to tease us or meant to kind of give like a major Easter egg that we will then see in a future show. Like, what if we see that in Acolyte?
Yeah, maybe.
What if we see it in High Republic Phase 2, which takes place before High Republic Phase 1?
Right. Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
that's the only thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sure hope they would. Yeah, and kudos to them if they could figure out a way in this season somehow to tie in whatever we supposedly supposed to learn in this episode. But
I was about to say, like, there's a lot of things they have to tie up. I don't know how they're going to do it.
yeah, it just seems very scattered right now.
That's a great way to describe it, scattered.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, up until this episode, I believe, we had not had the full batch since the second episode.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? Episode 3, we didn't have any of them.
No, we had Crosshair.
And we haven't seen Crosshair since.
We haven't, so what's his dealio? Like, the longer we don't see Crosshair, the more I am very sure, and I feel like it confirms that episode was Crosshair choosing his destiny.
But even after we talk about episode 6, after 6 episodes, he's only been in 1.
Yeah, it's true.
And I remember
it's weird.
And I remember hearing an interview from D. Bradley Baker before the season started, fully expressing how excited he is that Crosshair has a big storyline. And I'm like, yes, but then I'm like, where is it? I mean, I know we got 10 episodes left, but
where are you?
You had a crazy good episode with him and Cody. Oh
my gosh.
Which I think is the best episode this season.
Yes. And
it doesn't even have the Bad Batch in it. So that's telling you something, right? And here's the thing is I don't think people are turning away. Mm-hmm. But I have seen a lot of tweets on Twitter from a lot of Star Wars people that are saying it isn't turning out the best right now, So I don't think it's just us. I think it really is kind of borderlining, up and down, very up and down right now. I mean, I don't know. I just, I was talking to Martin about it, and I remember him saying something like, something about the Clone Wars and how the Clone Wars sometimes did this or whatever. And but I told him, I was like, you know what? I never felt like this watching the Clone Wars, because for one, the Clone Wars did a good job of. They rarely had one episode arcs. Theirs were 3-4 episodes. So they explained what was going on in each one of these arcs. So when you got to the end of it, you've fully got the whole story. So unless, and we know, talking about this a week later, we know that this doesn't continue into episode 6. Mm-hmm. So what we got out of this is what we got out of it. So, to me, it's not like the Clone Wars. I think Clone Wars it did so much better in the storytelling aspect of it, where it lets you get into it 2, 3, 4 episodes, and then you moved on to the next story.
Yes.
This one just seems like it's just a couple of one-offs here, and it's like, I don't know where this fits into the whole story, right?
Right.
So,
no, I completely agree.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So what's your thoughts of Fee right now? Are you even
I don't know.
interested in this character? Yeah.
I mean, I feel like she feels like a throwaway character right now. She doesn't feel like she has any significance. And I love Wanda Sykes. Mm-hmm. But it's almost as if Wanda Sykes said, I want to be in this show.
Yeah, put me in this show.
It was like, okay, well, where do we fit her?
Right.
Or just put her in the beginning and then we'll give her an episode. Like, that's what this feels like. Mm-hmm, and I hope there's a better payoff for Fee. Because right now I'm just kind of like,
Right. Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I think I kind of feel the same way about her and Sid, to be honest. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really, I don't really, I just don't have any feelings for these characters right now.
Mm-mm.
And it's not that I don't have feelings for them. I just don't know if there's a need to, because again, I think there's so much more we need to know about the Bad Batch and about Omega and
Yes.
Crosshair and Cody and Rex and the people that are more involved in what's happening in their situations right now than, because Sid and Fee, I mean, to them, what's happening with the Republic transitioning to the Empire, they're really not affected,
No, they're not. They're
right?
just kind of like, okay, it is what it is.
It is what it is. They're still going to be doing what they're doing. The
Mm-hmm.
Bad Batch, they can't
Mm.
be normal, and they've got to be careful with what they're doing, right? So
Right.
that's the story, right? I mean, that's the whole reason for
Yeah.
the show. So anyway, um, look. I'm not going to ever turn it off. I mean, I'm going to keep watching it, but I have been a little up and down on what's happening right now.
Agreed. Agreed.
So let's get into episode 6 then, which
Okay.
is called what was it called?
I think it was called The Tribe.
It was called Tribe. Yep. Okay, so there were shots in the teaser, in the trailers, about this character that we get into this episode with, which is Gungi. If everybody doesn't know who Gungi is, he is from the Clone Wars.
Yes.
I think that was season 3. I think it was season 3.
You would your guess is better than mine.
Yeah, I think it was season 3, and I think it was when it was called The Gathering. It was it was the first episode in that arc,
Okay.
where Ahsoka takes a bunch of younglings to Ilum to find their crystals. And Gungi was the Wookiee Padawan, or youngling, not a Padawan yet, youngling that went on that mission, and then eventually they get in some trouble in the next 3 episodes. Again, a big arc.
Yeah.
So Gungi is discovered by our batch in this episode while they're on a mission, and take him back to Kashyyyk. So, what was your thoughts on this one?
So much better. It was a breath of fresh air after the last couple of episodes. It just I think I love the details they painted in this episode, in the sense of, you have Gungi who's immediately like, oh, they're troopers. Like he's scared of them.
Right.
And so, there's some trauma there, obviously. And then, you see him still be a Jedi, and he's not afraid to use the Force. He's not afraid to fight. So that's great. And then they even reference the fact that the clones used to, the Wookiees and the clones used to be very good allies with each other.
Yes.
So it's all of these little details that they brought together that I think made the episode so great. Part of me was hoping that this was when Omega all of a sudden discovered that she was Force sensitive. But I almost am like, okay, like I feel like this episode needed to happen earlier on, because it needed to give them that nudge to realize they have something to protect. They have something to fight for. Not all the Jedi are gone. Some of them survived. So
Right.
now they have to go out and protect them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this episode should have happened earlier.
Yeah.
But that's just my
I actually thought it was going to be earlier. But I'm glad it happened the way it happened now. It's funny because when I saw the trailer and I saw Gungi in it, I was like thinking, wow, okay, this is going to be interesting. They're going to bring another Jedi into it, right? Because I believe the last Jedi they saw was Caleb Dune,
Yes.
running away. And this felt like it was going to be just I don't know, very, I don't know, just very gripping. And although it was really good, I just wasn't that impressed with it.
Oh,
I wasn't.
Okay. I mean, I see that overall, but after the most recent episodes we got,
That's what I'm saying. Definitely better than that. Yes.
yeah.
But, when like, I loved when Gunji's sitting there and he sees his saber for the first time and he gets like, that was like, yes. Okay. And it was really good. But to be honest, like the whole thing on Kashyyyk really didn't, I don't know. I mean, yes, they fought these Trandoshans, but I'm like, I don't know. I just, something about that, it could totally be me, but just something about that was just very kind of, it wasn't, I don't want to say boring, but it was just like, it was almost like I've seen it before kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't that exciting to see again. I don't know.
I
don't know
completely
why.
understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think it has to deal with the fact, and this was actually my husband's and I biggest complaint about uh the episodes of the Bad Batch that we see in the final season of the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
They cut out all the parts that you wanted to see, and they expanded on the parts that didn't need to be expanded upon.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like, you wanted to see them fight through those droids, but we don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we get more exposition.
Right.
Like, that's just an example. So I think that plus you saying they should be like the Clone Wars makes perfect sense. Imagine this episode spread across 3 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would have been so much better.
Totally.
So I think that's it. I think they're trying to cover a lot of ground, but not taking the time to cover the ground that they want to cover.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, if the story is, again, yeah, it would probably take more episodes, but, if the story is Gunji and kind of finding his tribe, I mean, that's why it's called Tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know he gets in with these Wookiees that you saw, but it's like, it would have been nice to actually like really find his family if they're still around or not.
But would you have been able to? I mean,
I don't know. That's the thing. It would have been very hard because, and the one thing that I think would have made this, to me, at least I thought the way they were going with this, is we still haven't heard, at least I don't remember, and I'm trying to think of, besides novels, I'm trying to think of if we've heard this in canon, but the Empire enslaved Wookiees.
I am fairly certain that was either in Solo.
Oh, actually, it was in Solo. Had a little bit of it. Yes, they were at the mines. I mean, that wasn't the Empire though, but that was.
Oh, what?
They were at Kessel, right? They were enslaved at Kessel, but that wasn't the Empire.
Oh, it was in a book.
Well, it definitely wasn't books, but it was actually in the first episode of Rebels. You remember they?
Yes.
They freed those Wookiees, right?
Yes.
But those were kind of captured Wookiees that they were taking to get enslaved. So we haven't seen now. You remember what was the middle book of the Aftermath series?
Life Debt.
Life Debt, right? So that they dealt with it a lot there because that was Chewbacca wanting to go back and free Kashyyyk.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I thought they were going with this a little bit. Like I thought we were going to see the Empire there enslaving Wookiees. Like how powerful would that have been?
Ouch.
For the Bad Batch to see that, especially, right?
Right.
So I really thought that that's what they were going with this. But then all of a sudden Trandoshans showed up in battle tanks, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I know Trandoshans hunt Wookiees, but we've seen that before. Like, what's the Empire doing? Because we know, again, the Empire is doing something to the Wookiees. I just thought there would be a little more story there with that.
You make such a good point. I know. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, because I know you've read those books, so I know. I mean, I even had a flash. Like, are we going to see Chewbacca here?
I was hoping we were going to see Chewbacca. That would have been pretty cool.
Yes, because this isn't that far off the Clone Wars, right? So,
no,
Order 66 just happened. Well, I mean, it's been probably. I think it's been a few months now.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
Right. So that's where I kind of thought that the Empire would be a little more. They would be occupying this planet a little bit more. But you realize, I don't know if you know this though, but there was a Clone Wars arc that wasn't done on Kashyyyk.
Oh, was there?
And a lot of the stuff that's in this was in that.
Oh, okay.
So you can see, and obviously this shouldn't come to any surprise, but you can see that Filoni is definitely, repurposing the episodes that he couldn't get done in the Clone Wars and using them in Bad Batch. Because there was basically an episode in the Clone Wars where I believe it was Rex that went to Kashyyyk to it was another battle, I think, that came up. It was a pre-battle, precursor to what we saw in episode 3. But Chewbacca was there. They were riding those big animals. And I think the Bad Batch went there too. I think that was a Bad Batch episode. I think they went to Kashyyyk. Anyway, but they talked about that tree, like how they feel like the life of the tree, which is very Avatar, right?
Yeah.
But they kind of worshipped or listened to the trees or whatever. So a lot of those things that were in the Clone Wars that we didn't see end up making it. That's why this episode was made. But
well, this is my question though. When do you just let it go?
Good question.
Or when do you try to shoehorn it into a season?
Yeah, that's a good question. When do you let the Clone Wars stuff go and not? Is that what you mean? Or
just say this is an anthology. That's what needs to happen. You need to create an anthology of Clone Wars, and it's all of the episodes
that didn't finish them out. Yeah, I totally agree, but I don't think they're going to do that. I
know, but so don't shoehorn it into something else.
I know.
That's just my feeling. Unless it works. If it works, great. But it feels like they're forcing so much in here that does not make sense. Or hopefully it will make sense in the future, but it just doesn't make sense now.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Because that's the thing. Now, I guess it's possible because this episode ended. The way it ended, it didn't end with them getting in their ship and leaving.
Yeah, they're still on Kashyyyk.
And next week is 2 episodes.
Oh.
It's kind of the mid-season, right? So it's episode 8 or 7 and 8, and it's the Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences.
Okay.
So I'm just going to guess. I have no idea, but I'm just going to guess. Do you remember when they first found Gungi and those, I believe the droids were calling in, right?
Yeah.
So I think the Empire now knows that the Bad Batch somehow probably has Gungi and then they're going to Kashyyyk. So I would venture to guess that Crosshair is going to be heading to Kashyyyk. That's just my guess.
Do you also think that's how Saw Gerrera is going to be pulled into everything?
It's quite possible. That's quite possible.
Oh. Okay.
So I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited for the 2 episodes next week because I think that's going to be a bigger story, right?
Okay.
But I wonder if it's going to be on Kashyyyk or we're going to just time jump and go somewhere else and then do the 2 episodes. But
We'll find out, I guess.
yeah, we'll find out. So 6 episodes. So we got 10 episodes left.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I'm just not like right now. I think I felt better about season 1 than I did season 2, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, at this point, hands down. We still got 10 more episodes to have our minds changed.
Right. Yeah. And you can easily change it by just giving me more Crosshair and more of that story.
You can change it by telling us what the through line is.
True. Yeah. Yeah, true. Anyway. Yeah, I don't want to be too negative. I mean, I love it. Trust me, I love the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
So.
I feel like it was just it. Yeah, I don't know. I think
this one was better. You're right. This one is better.
It's better, but I don't know. Like after coming off of Andor.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah, true.
It's just like, okay.
Yes.
But I'll keep watching it. It's still fun. I think that's the thing, is that it's still fun.
Absolutely.
But you and I are always looking for the story. We're always looking for that through line because that's the field that we work in.
Yes.
So for us, it's a little more difficult. It's the curse of the media eye.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it comes down to one of them things where, there's that balance of, well, do you want 16 episodes? Because if you want 16 episodes, you're probably going to get a lot of these kind of out of the box storylines, right?
Right.
Or do you want just 8 or 10 episodes and just focus on the short story, right, of what it's about? So that's why I think I think when you're looking at least, again, I totally could be wrong, but when I look at how this is shaping out, it's like, okay, they want to make 16 episodes, but it's almost like, okay, they kind of stopped and said, okay, wait a minute, what do we do with this episode? What do we do here? Instead of writing out like what each you know what I mean? Like Andor, it's like, boom, you got that many episodes and the story is all there.
That's
like
exactly what it feels like.
Right? Does it? Okay.
That is exactly what it feels like. It feels like they have this puzzle and they have one piece left, but it doesn't go in the space that's left. Right. So they're trying to
jam it in there. Yeah. But, hopefully, and, I started rewatching season 1 and I don't know. That one felt like it just kind of built on each other, I don't know.
Yep.
We'll see.
We will see. We'll see. Next week's going to be interesting with 2 episodes.
Next week is definitely going to be interesting. So next week, like I said, 2 episodes, and then you got 1 episode each week up until March 29th when there will be a 2-episode finale released. Episodes 15 and 16 on March 29th, which is overlapping with The Mandalorian, which is going to be crazy. So
that's going to be nuts.
That at that time, that day, you got 3 episodes to watch.
Whew.
Okay, let's get some comments on what we got here. Let's see, from last week's or a couple weeks ago, our master patron Thrawn Addict here. Great review of The Bad Batch. I loved episode 3 so much. Probably one of my favorite episodes so far from seasons 1 or 2. That's the one we talked about with Crosshair.
Yes.
Great to get Commander Cody back, and I'm glad he went AWOL. Didn't think I could have handled him being a bad guy in the series. The action was fantastic and loved the discs Crosshair throws to make his shots. Also, it was good to see more about separatist planets after the Clone Wars. I always wondered if the systems just fell in line or joined the Empire. I fell in line and joined the Republic, or some of them were adamant to be neutral or separate. Episode 4 was a much lighter episode, but still enjoyable. and I'm liking Tech getting more of his role this season. I didn't really like episode 4. We already talked about that one.
Episode 3 was great, though.
Episode 3 was great, yeah. So, he does ask too. I'm wondering if Commander Cody or Crosshair make it out of this season. What do you and Hannah think?
Oh.
You think
I don't know.
Either or both of them make it? I think, I definitely think Crosshair does.
I think Crosshair does. I don't think Cody does.
Yeah, Cody's an outlier because, again, it's just one of those weird things that, it's episode 3 when he disappears and we haven't seen it since. So I'm not even sure Cody will show back up this season.
I have no idea. But if I had to pick one who would die, I would probably say Cody.
Cody? Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would make sense. Because, he doesn't end up showing up in Rebels. So something has to happen up until that point, unless he just goes in hiding and lives out his life.
Who knows?
I do think Crosshair. I'm under the. Right now, my guess is that Crosshair survives this season because I think there's more seasons, but I don't think he survives the series.
I don't think he survives the series either. I think he's probably, like, his last thing is he's going to sacrifice himself to save the Bad Batch.
Probably.
I totally see that happening as, like, a redemption thing.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think he's going to die this season. I agree with you.
I don't think so either. And then lastly, he says, really excited for Mando season 3. Looking forward to seeing what's left of Mandalore and maybe all the different clans and their agenda. Will be interesting to see Din Djarin's relationship with Bo-Katan, as well as she might be bitter about Din having the Darksaber. I think most season will be a more Mandalore-related story, but perhaps the cloning story throughout setting up season 4, because you did see the cloning doctor flying through Coruscant. So it will be intriguing to see what he is doing there. Dr. Parshin or something like that. Parshin. Yes, I think the cloning part is going to be a big part of the series. I do eventually.
It should. I'm just excited to see Pedro Pascal again wander across dangerous lands with an orphan that he's a father figure to. I'm just looking forward to seeing that again.
Yes.
He's got a type.
He has got a type. Are you watching that too?
Oh, heck yes.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah.
I went through a whole box of tissues on the last episode.
Yeah, it was good.
Anyway.
Did you play the game?
I watched my husband play the game.
Oh, okay.
That was another heart wrecker.
So I have no idea. I've never played the game because I don't have PlayStation. It was only PlayStation exclusive, right?
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's a great movie game.
Yes. I love those. I love those. Okay. Let's see. Besides that, I wanted to read an email that we got. Bear with me because it's a little long, but it's from I'm guessing Corey Burrell. I'm hoping Corey is a watcher or listener. That's why you sent it in. But here's Corey's story. It's titled Deaf Star Wars Fan Looking for Support. So he says, hello there. I just got that, actually.
General Kenobi.
Yeah, I just got that. He says, hello there. My name is Corey Burrell. I am a Star Wars fan who is deaf with a hearing aid and a cochlear implant. I've always loved Star Wars ever since I was very young. All of my life, I've struggled so much with not being fully accepted because of my deafness, as well as the general and mental health challenges that come with being deaf. I've gone through so much with being bullied and teachers not being very understanding or attentive towards my challenges. My teachers were overall quite neglectful about my educational and emotional needs. I now pay the price for that still to this day as an adult. A lot of it has to do with the lack of inclusivity and understanding for the deaf community. I find it very frustrating to go through life not being understood, heard, or to not even have the same equal opportunities as people in the mainstream community do. Many people think that it's just being deaf and that there's no other issues that come with being deaf as well. Those people are so wrong, and because of that thinking, so many of us within the deaf community have to suffer. I wish more people understood that in reality it's so much more than being deaf. As a child who was not treated very well growing up, ever since I was 9 years old, I've always related so much to the character Master Aya Sakura from Star Wars. She always has been an example of empathy, kindness, compassion, and gentleness. When I was in school, I've always wished that I had a teacher, mother figure that was like her. It would be nice to see Master Sakura teach a deaf Padawan in the ways of the Force. In short, I am doing a GoFundMe campaign that shares my full story, and so I can work with Lucasfilm to push giving the deaf community a more substantial role and voice in the Star Wars universe. I will stop at nothing to make sure this happens. I really can't do this without any sort of resources. I just ask kindly for a chance. It would mean so much to me to have the support of both the Star Wars and deaf community. If you can please support my journey and my dreams in any way, shape, or form, I'd truly appreciate it. Thank you. Regards, Corey B. And there is a link to his GoFundMe, which I will share in the description of this video, this podcast. Corey, if you're listening, we will support you. Hopefully just reading that is helping in some way, bring some awareness to your journey. And I will do my best to spread this email to other Star Wars community members. I will do my best to send this even to Lucasfilm. So I've got a couple of people I know in that community part, that business. So we'll try. We'll do what we can too. I just want to say thank you for sending this in. It's very heart-wrenching. And I'm very sorry that you're experiencing that way, but I believe like a lot of Star Wars fans, a lot of people that are in our shoes, you find something in Star Wars that drives you, and that's good, and that's pure and what you enjoy. And I'm just glad that you found that with Aya Sakura, which is great. She is a great character, not one that's very popular, but I'm glad you found one that helps you that way. And I don't know, Hannah, thoughts on that at all?
I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear that you went through that. So yeah, anything we can do to help, and hopefully people out there who are listening will be able to help as well, because I mean, I think it would be fantastic. That's something we haven't seen. That would be incredible to see.
Incredible.
We've seen blind, we haven't seen deaf.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, the only reference to some form of sign language is with the Tusken Raiders in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily deaf.
No.
So I think that would be so cool. And, maybe the Force helps them listen in a different way. I mean, just think of the possibilities.
Yes. Yeah.
Of what that could do.
That's very true. Yeah. So, Corey, and I truly do apologize. I haven't read that sooner. I know you sent me that a couple of weeks ago. And I'll definitely write you back and let you know that we talked about this on this episode, and that we'll start doing what we can. We'll start reaching out to some people and get people over to that GoFundMe page, and who knows, get enough people talking about it, maybe Lucasfilm will help out. So, yeah, we'll keep in touch, Corey. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. So thank you for that. Thank you, Hannah, for joining me as always.
Thank you, Dave, as always.
As always, Hannah is going to jump on the road. She's got a documentary job she's going to be working on next week. So good luck to you. And we'll try to do a show next week, right? Still?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, it's going to be Star Wars Podcast Day next week. And we'll talk about that on the next show, as well as all the other news. Of course, Bad Batch episode 7. And 8, actually.
And 8, 7 and 8.
2 episodes to watch, Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, hit up the Mandalore podcast, where Martin and I deep dive in the Bad Batch right now. And then, of course, go to youtube.com/Inside the Force if you want to get all of our other shows. Hannah and I just did Rebel Rising for Beyond the Saga. We got Council Sessions and Master of the Order and Dark Knowledge, all the other shows that you can find there. And, of course, patreon.com if you want to support the show and get even more exclusive content.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hannah, have a great, safe week.
Thank you. You too. And thank you. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey. I appreciate it. Take care. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.